Thank you for tuning in to The Truth with Trinity. And I am your host, Trinity. So without further ado, I'd like to jump into this episode's topic, which is, do white people seem to have a problem with black people of the opposite sex as them? So, before I get started, I want to make a small disclaimer that this does not apply to every white person. And there are some white people that have genuine relationships with black people of the same sex, and everyone has the right to like who they like in the long run. But let me continue. I don't know if it's just me, if you've ever witnessed this, but it kind of seems as if, at times, like, for example, if there's a white man, he may be a little nice to the black woman, but start treating and talking to the black man really crazy, or, the opposite, if there's a white woman, she, may be really mean or whatever to a group of black women, but when there's a black man that walks into the room, she tones that down just a little bit and starts smiling at him. So it kind of gives you, a question is it's questionable, how genuine is their response to even the opposite sex of black people. Let me continue. I wanted to first start off with saying that everyone in life has the right to choose who they like. Okay, and this isn't to say that there aren't white men who share friendships with black men, or that there aren't white women who share genuine friendships with black women. But is it just me, or does it seem like, on average, white men throw black men shade, but will be quote unquote kind to a black woman, and that the white woman can be mean to black women, but steadily flip her hair in the face of a black man? Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. Okay, so I want to say that one time when I was at work and I was sitting at my desk, and I'm more of an observer, as I'm sure a lot of you all are, when you're at work, and I seen a black male employee talking to a female employee, and she was black, so he's kind of like talking to her from her desk across the way from me, right? And next thing you know, there was a white woman, and she starts yelling. So she's a white employee, and she starts yelling at the black guy, telling him that there's something that she needs fixed. But usually she doesn't talk to him like that. Okay, so that was kind of like really weird. Okay, so then I had two questions that popped into my mind, Number one, did she have an issue because his attention wasn't on her, but on a black woman? And number two, did the black man talking to the black woman make her feel inadequate or less attractive? Number three, are most white women only okay with a black man only as long as she thinks that he is interested in her sexually? Because if he's not, or, he just wants to keep it, just on the straight, path level or platonic, then she gets upset. Meanwhile, okay, so the same black woman, so the same, excuse me, white woman that's, kind of upset, about the black guy, or at times she's friendly to the black guy as long as he's giving her attention. She's walking around being condescending, yelling at all other black women as if she was the overseer on a plantation. Some people can argue, maybe some of those black women may be unkind to her, right? But this is happening in times where, this is a first contact between two people, a white woman and a black woman, or at times where the black woman isn't being unkind to the white woman, and she's just, generally just being unkind and nasty to all the black women. And this isn't just in the workplace, but just in different types of settings. And it kind of gives you a question, if you're nasty to the opposite sex of the race, and you're nice to, black men, then how nice or superficial is that niceness? Okay, so I want to describe the next scenario. Okay, there was a commentator on the Olympics. Okay, so I'm watching the Olympics on TV, and this, commenter happened to be a white man. Okay, and he was covering a black male gymnast. So he's commenting on the black male gymnast, okay? The white male commentator starts really criticizing the black male gymnast, okay? His headband and making a few, backhanded and offhanded jokes. Now, one can say, hey, these are commentators, especially the Olympics. These are, supposed to be elite athletes. Of course, they're going to be critiqued on everything they do. But, just like anyone else, no one's stupid. No one's oblivious or don't, uh, like we don't notice when something's a little over the top. But when it came to the black female gymnast, okay, so the commentator, you know, he had all this stuff to say about this black guy's headband, making little weird jokes about it, and just really, really coming down on this black guy, even with his great performance. But meanwhile, the same, white male commentator, on the black female gymnast, the white commentator was all wows and oh, she was great. And did you see that? No one's ever done that. So as I was watching on television, I started thinking, once again, I'm thinking, right? Number one, does the average white person see a black person, especially of the opposite sex, as competition? Okay, so, once again, the white guy, he's looking at the black male and he's like, oh, look at this. He's picking them apart. But then when it came to the black woman, he was all wows and alls and hand claps. So is this like a thing where white people see on average, that the black person is competition for them naturally? I don't know. Number two, if the average white person can only display an act of kindness toward the opposite sex of black people, but become disrespectful or hostile with the same sex of a black person, then really are their acts of kindness to the opposite sex of black superficial and self-serving? Okay? I say self-serving in regards to the fact if a particular black person of the opposite sex isn't interested or wants to keep it professional and non-personal, does the black person get treated with the disdain and elitist demeanor from the white person? So basically, let's give an example. If there's a white man and there's a black woman and she's like, hey, I just want to keep it professional, straightforward, does that white man become elitist and start trying to treat her inferior, but only if she wants to flirt, or above just being kind? Is this something that that makes them flip the game? Or for example, if there's a white woman and there's a black man, she's willing to treat him like a human being as long as he's willing to flirt with her. If he isn't, then it becomes a situation where she starts to throw that nasty attitude. I mean it's just a question, that a good question. Are some black people, okay, are some black people so full of hatred for their own race of people that they see but don't care as long as the white person in question isn't being mean to them? Okay, and not realizing that this white person may be with you for reasons that are unkosher. I know, and that's pretty deep, I think, because in this country, with it being like heavily saturated with Caucasians and a small percentage of black people, excuse me, with a small percentage of black people, it becomes hard, and we do have a lot of interactions, America being a melting pot, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think as black people, I think sometimes some of us, not all of us, but some of us can have such self-hatred that we can maybe see, like for example, if there's a black woman who hasn't been treated too kind by, black men in general, and she sees police brutality that's undeserving at the hands of a white man toward a black man, or just, brutality, period, or unkindness from white men to black men, she could be so hurt inside that she doesn't care. And, she doesn't care about the black man, being hurt or killed because the black man has been unkind to her. Or on contrary, there can be some black men who have had some really harsh situations with black women and chose to turn his back and heart towards the black woman. And if she sees, white women being hostile and violent as well, because white women can be violent, and especially toward the black woman, that he doesn't care because he hates black women. He's had bad dealings with black women. And so that could, makes some black people have a blind eye to the fact that this white person that they're with may not be with them for kosher reasons. Okay. Also, I wanted to ask: is this a tactic? You know, a white woman with a black man, or a white man with a black woman. Is this an age-old tactic from the slave plantation, where the black person is pacified with a few treats from the slaveholder, for the slave to feel like he has a sense of freedom, yet still looked at as inferior? Okay, so is this a tactic, and modern America, for the black person to feel like, oh, there's a sense of freedom, there's a sense of me being equal, if the white man's treating me nice, but yet still treating the black man like he's a piece of crap, and then with the white woman treating the black man like he's like a king, but still treating the black woman like she's just a ancient mama cleaner. Just that inferior elitist type of relationship going on with the opposite sex. So have they flipped the game? Have they switched the game in their tactics with black people? And because for the white people who do conduct themselves around black people in this manner, so not all white people, but the ones that do it, if they are only willing to treat the opposite sex of blacks one way and black people who are the same sex as them another way, what does that say as to how and what they truly think of black people beyond a baseline superficial level? All right, so what do you all think? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section if you're listening from YouTube. That pretty much concludes this segment. It's been a pleasure talking with you all. If you'd like to get in contact with me, if you have any questions or suggestions, you can contact me at thetruthwithtrinity.com. You can also listen to my podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. And always remember, if you can't tell the truth with anyone else, you can with Trinity. Till next time, take care.